It's perfectly all right not to want to code as long as you understand how coding works and why we use it and how it fits in with reimbursement and things like that. You either love this or you almost hate it. There's not a whole lot in between. But I do highly recommend that you find yourself some way to do coding for a while so you understand how it works. Because it's the basis of money, it's the basis of staffing, it's the basis of whether or not you're going to be able to qualify for certain equipment. For instance, if you're trying to do a certificate of need for a gamma knife, you're going to have to show that you have this many patients with this many diagnoses before you're going to qualify to be able to get a certificate of need for a gamma knife. And where does that information come from? The Health Information Department. So even if you are branch out in a risk management or quality assurance or utilization review arena, you've still got to know where that data comes from. And if you understand where the codes originate and how you get it, it's going to help you take the data and be able to extract it. Absolutely. All right, we are back at locating late effect codes. You saw how they worked. You saw that, sometimes one code is enough, sometimes it takes two. But what I want you to realize is that the late effect codes are spread all throughout the book. There is not one centralized place in the tabular to go and look at them. The late effects of tuberculosis codes go from 137.0 to 137.4. The late effects of polio are all 138 codes. The late effects of other infectious, 139.0 to 139.8. Well, they're all kind of in the same ballpark, but then we get late effects of rickets, and that goes to 268. And late effects of intracranial abscesses is 326. Then it jumps to 438, and then 677, and then we get into the 900 codes. So the point of that is for you to know that late effects are spread throughout the entire book. And again, that's even more reason why you're going to have to learn to use the alphabetic. Now, could we have gone to fracture late effect to find the code we found when we went to late effect fracture? Let's look and see. Before the break, you looked up late effect fracture. Now we're going to go to fracture late effect. Let's see if we could find it there. And when you get there, what does it tell you to do? Says see late effect. And is that late effect, is that late capitalized? Yes. So that means to go to late effect, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. All right, if we had looked up, I'm sorry, what, Dorothy?
I found fracture.
Go to fracture, and underneath fracture find larynx. Larynx, and it's the very next thing under larynx. Let me see if I can show it to you. And so all it did is tell you to go where we started out going, didn't it? All right. If you're looking up a late effect of abscess, we could either go to late effect abscess, or could we go to abscess and find late effect under it? Well, let's look and see. Let's find an intracranial abscess. Abscess intracranial. And when I do, I find late effect. And what does it tell me to do? Oh. So sometimes it'll help me get to it. Sometimes it'll tell me where to go. The point of this is you can get to it two different ways. You can either always remember to go to late effect, or you can go to what it was and look up late effect of it. Go abscess intracranial. See category 326, telling you to go directly to 326. Let's try one more. Let's try late effect of a burn. Well, I know I can find it by going to late effect, but let's see what happens when I go to burn late effect. What's it tell me to do? See late effect. So, kind of 9 times out of 10, it's going to take you to late effects anyway, so that if you can remember that, it will save you a step in looking it up. But if you can't remember it, it's still going to get you to the right place, isn't it? All you have to remember is what a late effect is. And so when you see those diagnoses, be able to say, oh, that's a late effect, that's a late effect. And in order to know that something is a late effect, you're going to go back to the bullet marks, and it's going to either be specified as being late or old or due to a previous injury or illness or following a previous illness or injury or something that's traumatic. All right, now let me ask you this. I am blind due to diabetes. Is my blindness a late effect? Think before you answer. You say no. Why not? Because, well, the blindness is now, but
Well, due to, you were blind due to what?
the diabetes.
Diabetes. Well, the diabetes is the late effect.
No.
It's current, because you had diabetes.
Yeah.
Which caused the blindness.
And in order to be a late effect, it has to have what? Something.
Not being acute.
That's right, not being in an acute stage. But my diabetes is still going on, so therefore the blindness can't be a late effect. It's a manifestation of, but it can't be a late effect. All right, I have a scar on my hand due to a burn. Is that a late effect?
Yes.
Why?
Because the scars from the healing of the burn.
That's right. The scar came from the burn I had before. I wouldn't have a scar unless it had healed. All right, I have an infection of a wound of my knee because I fell and a nail went in my knee. Is that a late effect?
No.
Why not?
The infection comes because the wound wasn't healed. It's still in the acute.
It's still in its acute stage. That's what you, is it still in its acute stage? If it's still in its acute stage, it can't be a late effect. Is diabetes in its acute stage? Yeah. Let's say I'm blind due to hypertension. Is that a late effect?
No.
Why not?
Because it's still in.
Because it's still in effect. That's right, still acute. Exactly. You remember that, and you're going to be just fine. All right. Now, having said that, let's take a look at page 51, exercise 6.6. And I want you to go through and label it again. R for